name is Rachel Rose Reid. I'm a storyteller and a spoken word artist. And I grew up standing between two worlds. On one hand, I had the folk heritage that was kept alive by my relatives who came from a lot of different countries in Eastern and Southern Europe. And on the other hand, I had Camden and spoken word and performance poetry, and a growing awareness that these two worlds had a lot of each other in them, but in my experience, they didn't seem to meet very often. So I found myself being in the middle and taking a bit of each and mashing them together. I always have an urge to go into the bottom of secondhand bookshops and root around in the story collection area, the place where they put folk tales, mythology, legends, just to see what old books I can find. And Silence, the copy that I found of this translation of this Anglo-Norman French story, it looked quite shiny and new. The book, it didn't look like it had been used a lot of times.
So I pulled it out, and on the front, I saw a picture, a copy of a medieval manuscript that had 3 figures, all in the same long roads. And on the back, I read, Silence, lost for 700 years, a descendant of King Arthur, a warrior maiden, a minstrel, a knight, upturns the order of a society in which women are subordinate to men. I opened the book.
Silence tells us that queer people are part of the story, that we're part of the story of humanity, that we're part of a line of history that maybe we were not told about previously.
If she's a girl, we'll have her raised there in the manner of a boy, and then if we have a boy later on, we can turn this one back into a girl, but if we don't, then we'll have one, and then they'll be fine and safe, and they won't have to wander the world wondering how to have power with no access to land. See? What about when she grows up? Haven't really got that far.
My aim for Silence is that it receive the national attention that has sadly been lacking since it was written. No one knew about it before 1911. And then it went incredibly quiet again. And now there are only a couple of translations that are mostly used in academic circles. And it's such an incredible story. Whilst I am telling it in my own way, I hope that the story itself will also be brought to the fore, and that we can have it as a tale that is known throughout the whole country as a really unusual classic British story. When the audience comes to see Silence, they will see a gender-swapping classic narrative like they've never experienced before. I think in a lot of old plays, the swapping of gender, where a woman is disguised as a man, for example, is often seen as a funny thing. And this is not humorous, though there's a lot of jokes in it. It is just a simple, understated fact that this character feels themselves to be both. And how is it to be both in a world that tells you can only be one?
The crowd went wild! Serfs loved the youth of Cornwall, mostly because the last time they'd been given a day off was when he was born, and now he was back from the dead, another day off had been declared! Well, half a day, but who's counting?
There's a point in Silence where the king says something horrendously misogynistic, and the whole audience went, no! And I just thought that is the ideal relationship between me and the audience. First of all, that they feel comfortable enough that they can speak out, that they don't have to stay polite and quiet. And secondly, that they believe so much in the story, they're so emotionally invested in it, that when we get to something that they think is horrendous, they think that maybe if they shout out, they will be able to alter the story. And that is the magic experience that I'm looking for, where we know that we're creating this world only with our imaginations, and yet we are so invested in it. We think that maybe we can wrestle with it and change it.
They felt their clothes separate from their flesh from their bones from their breath from their soul. their souls stitched to the fabric of the heavens. It was as if when this young one sang, they felt whole.
The exciting thing for collaborators to get involved now is it's not simply an idea, it's something that's been worked on and developed and tested. And so we know that audiences love it and are excited by it and want to hear more of it. And we just need to put the firepower under it, firstly to finish off the final draft and then also to bring it out into the world to a wider audience.